Hello, my name is Russell Myers, independent for U.S. President for 2024. I'm sure that you have heard about some recent events. Anthony Blinken went to China to meet with President Xi. Uh, and honestly, I couldn't find the clip. Every clip that I find shows him shaking Xi's hand, but they don't show what happened immediately afterward, which was that Xi turned and his back to Blinken and walked toward his seat ahead of Blinken, which is completely out of the norm for Chinese etiquette and for the way that Xi normally acts. Normally, he will point to a chair and let the other person walk ahead of him. That this is Chinese etiquette. Uh, anyway, so allegedly that meeting went fairly well, but as soon as Blinken gets back to the United States, what does Joe Biden do? He calls Xi a dictator. This is not diplomacy. Of course, who else has Biden called a dictator? Putin, Assad, um, Maduro. You keep on going down the list, and it's like everyone that Biden doesn't get along with is a dictator. It can never be just that we have things that you know we could discuss, uh, and you consider that every country that Biden calls a dictator, we've got military forces surrounding that country. What about other people that are running for the Democratic ticket, which is mostly what I'm focusing on? Uh, but, well, we can also talk about Trump. Trump says, oh, well, he could end the Ukraine conflict in one day. Now, then why didn't he prevent it? If you remember the phone call between he and Zelensky, which is what Trump got impeached over, he was. If you actually listened to it or read the transcript of this call, what what Trump talked about after giving Ukraine money was about selling. I forget whether it was Stinger missiles or something similar. So he was talking about selling weapons to Ukraine, and who was Ukraine attacking at the time was the Donbass region. So, and what led to the current conflict, the Ukrainian attack on the Donbass region. So, no, he would not be. He would not be able to end this. When he met with Putin, look at all of the pressure he got from Congress that he caved to because he wanted to get reelected or whatever. So, no, Trump was too weak to actually end that conflict or to prevent that conflict. Let's go to a few other candidates. Let's talk about Marianne Williamson. Marianne Williamson is still a supporter of Russiagate, which has been completely debunked. Um, Dr. Cornel West. Um, he is, and well, all three of them, Williamson, RFK Jr., and Dr. Cornel West. All of them talk about the Uyghurs and China and China, uh, their human rights record and all this kind of thing. Well, the Uyghur situation has been thoroughly debunked by Max Blumenthal of the Gray Zone, and you can find that article very easily. Just look it up, go to the Gray Zone, Max Blumenthal, Uyghurs, and you'll find it. It's easy to find. Uh, if you're interested, but I'm going to warn you, it is a long article. Every claim about the Uyghur situation traces back to one, xenophobic, anti-China person that has never been to that region. China's always, publishing pictures and videos of the Xinjiang region where this is allegedly going on. There's this is not a thing. These people are not being enslaved. They're not being tortured. None of that. None of that is happening. And yet they will perpetuate it. Like I said, Marianne Williamson perpetuates Russiagate. RFK Jr. Claims that China is developing race-based bioweapons. He just all these kind of things from all of these people. I haven't heard a lot about them on Taiwan, but okay, even all three of them say that they will withdraw our troops from other countries. That's great, but if you're still confronting all of these other countries that is still over different things rather than holding discussions, that is not diplomacy. Anybody that has been paying attention has heard by now of something that I have been talking about for several years now and said that it was going to intensify, which is de-dollarization. The other countries moving away from the U.S. dollar. This has been a gradual process that has been going on for a number of years now, but has accelerated rapidly in the past year. So China is selling off U.S. treasuries. There you've got the rise of the BRICS alliance. Just the 5 countries that are currently in the BRICS alliance account for about 40% of global population and at least 25% of global GDP. Now there are 19 other countries that want to sign up for the BRICS alliance. Why? And what are the effects? The effects are they are already trading in native currencies, or primarily they're trading in Chinese yuan, which weakens the U.S. dollar, the petrodollar system. And just in general, the U.S. dollar being used for trade, it slows down the velocity of the U.S. dollar being used in international trade, which, being a fiat currency, that is how the dollar gains its value. If countries are not using the dollar for trade, then the dollar loses value. If the dollar loses value, what we will eventually wind up seeing is hyperinflation in the United States. We will see decreased trade, meaning increased unemployment. We will be paying higher prices. There won't be enough jobs, which, because of automation, we've already got problems with that, and we will continue seeing an increase in unemployment. This is irreversible. It's going to accelerate. All of this is going to accelerate. Now, why are these countries doing this? Because the BRICS alliance, they focus on, national sovereignty of the member countries and non-interference. That is a key thing. Non-interference. That means no sanctions, nobody dictating to them what their societal values should be. They get to choose what they are going to do within their own countries without being punished for it. So this is highly important. And the way that they are speaking to each other is as equals in a diplomatic manner. It is not, I'm going to come at you from a position of strength. That doesn't work. That does not work. Sanctions don't work. This dictatorial approach to other countries, saying, I'm coming at you from a position of strength. No, you're not. No, you're not. As soon as you say that, you have lost all connection. There is no more discussion that is necessary, because that country, that leader of that country is no longer listening to anything that you got to say. Now, should we address human rights violations? Absolutely. If there is verifiable evidence that a human rights violation is actually happening, then that evidence should be presented, and it should be presented within the United Nations. None of this rules-based order. Try and find a document which outlines these rules and this order. There is none. It is completely made up, amorphous. It does not exist. International law exists, and that is what we should be following, is international law. And that is, again, something that BRICS focuses on, which is adherence to international law, not some rules-based order that get the rules and the order get to change whenever the United States says, oh, well, that rule changed. No, it does not work that way. So if we were so concerned about human rights, we wouldn't be imposing sanctions. Sanctions are acts of warfare. They cost human lives. They destroy entire industries in the countries that impose the sanctions. Look at all of the economic issues that we have been experiencing with, and that Europe is experiencing because of sanctions on Russia. They all backfired. It's a boomerang effect. Germany is now officially in a recession, and nearly every bank, financial institution in the United States is claiming that we have a very high risk of entering a recession in the United States. The UK is in a recession and has been for a number of months now. But we will ignore human rights violations such as Ukraine attacking the people in the Donbass, which was an actual civil war until it became the special military operation where Russia stepped in. So we're not concerned. Look at Saudi Arabia's human rights record. Okay, we'll talk about Iran, but then ignore Saudi Arabia, which has a worse human rights record than Iran does. Look at the Palestinians. Look at Israel and the way they treat the Palestinians. We're not concerned with human rights. We're concerned with the rules-based order. That's not diplomacy. That is not diplomacy to try and tell other countries that we are superior to you and you have to bow down to what we tell you to do. That is not diplomacy. Anyway, the point of everything that I am saying is that the approach that we have been using for decades is coming back to haunt us. To engage with other countries as equals and without involving militarism and sanctions. That is not in any way coming from a position of weakness to bring problems up for discussion within the UN and follow international law. This is not a position of weakness. It doesn't detract from our country. We are a strong country. But are we going to remain a strong country if we continue on this way? None of this means that these countries are going to try and attack us militarily, but they don't have to. All they have to do is turn away from the dollar and just reject our form of what we call diplomacy. We cannot continue using force, but every person other than myself that is running for office all want to come from a position of strength and address human rights issues in other countries, but how about we fix our own problems first? Let's talk about the human rights issues in our country, with people dying from lack of medical care because they can't afford it or going into bankruptcy, the rising homeless population, children going to bed hungry, poverty, racism, sexism. Let's fix our problems before we start trying to accuse other nations. Let's focus on ourselves first. So, share this video. Talk about these subjects. If you can afford it, please donate whatever you can to help expand my presidential campaign. And I will catch you in the next one. Thank you very much for listening. I hope you have a good day.